What's up, y'all? Back with another video on the Holy Paladin again, continuing my series of climbing to 2400. If you watched the last video, you know that we got to about 2250, so this was the 2200 to 2300 push, so it made it a lot easier. And this was the game that got me to 2300, and honestly, this was probably one of my favorite solo shuffles, or will be one of my favorite solo shuffles that I've ever uploaded to this channel. And ironically, it's not one where I go 6-0, and you're gonna see why. I was a little bit shocked with how well the warlock in this solo shuffle played. He was the only caster, and so obviously he's gonna get targeted almost every game. And he played extremely well. His awareness was really good, and this was just an overall really fun solo shuffle match and really challenging. So this first match, had no idea what to expect. I thought because the warlock was so low rating, he only had 480 rating, so I thought maybe he just got put in a bad lobby or whatever. Well, it turns out that wasn't the case at all. He could have gone 6-0, and he played this really well. So right here, I'm thinking, all right, well, we're going to take down this warlock. It'll be an easy, 1-0. But we weren't quite getting that much pressure, and I'm trying to line here because I did use Hand of Sacrifice on my warrior, and they're continuing to purge, and I'm taking a ton of damage because I am running ultimate sac in this because these are a lot of heavy burst classes. And I still have a Blessing of Protection up, which I do go ahead and use right there. So what I'm doing with that Blessing of Protection, I've explained this before in past videos, is when they purge it off, not only do they get the buff so they take reduced damage, but also I can remove that Mortal Strike debuff for even just a second. So my warrior does end up going down right there, and I was like, whoa, that was a tough first match. So I didn't know what was going on, whether it was me playing poorly or the Disc Priest was playing really well, or I was a little bit shocked with that first loss because I thought we had the advantage with our comp for sure. So this next one is, we're basically turbo cleave. We have Arms Warrior and Enhancement Shaman. So again, I'm thinking, all right, well, we can for sure take down this warlock this time. Like there's no way we won't be able to take down the warlock. And starting out here, warlock sets up his gate for up there. My warrior charges in. This is kind of awkward positioning, so he does get the mind games. I dispel a little bit early, which it ended up being fine. They're killing the Felt Obelisk, but you can see there's a ton of pressure going out, so I do go ahead and use Aura Mastery here and Wings, and I burn my Trinket there, which was a little bit questionable, but I just want to catch up, because we fell so far behind in that opener. The warlock does get the lockout on me, and they start doing a ton of damage to my Enhancement Shaman. Then they swap back to the warrior, so they're doing a lot of spread damage here, and my warrior's taking a ton of damage again. I should have ran out of that. Oh, and I ended up burning bubble. I forgot that I did use bubble here, again trying to just catch up. So I caught up. He used life swap there, but so that was a little bit of an overlap between the Disc Priest and the warlock. So the warlock ended up using his defensive, and the Disc Priest kind of swapped him last second. So we start getting more and more pressure here, and this is also like kind of a testament in don't ever give up, even if you have like a rough start in a solo shuffle. Like you go 0-2, like right there you saw how low both of them got, and I didn't get any kind of good proc, but I did get a little bit of good RNG with the crits. So I do Hodge him there, and then I go into a blind, and the priest has no trinket, so I'm like, wow, we'll get a lot of pressure there, but then he gets broken out by the Blade Storm, which is fine. I get the buff off before I get feared. I was hoping for a Tremor here. My warrior heroic leaps away, and again, we're already falling behind again. So I tried to do like a little mini juke there, hoping to catch the warlock's interrupt, and we are so far behind at this point. So I go ahead and burn my Hand of Sacrifice on the Enhancement Shaman, and everybody keeps getting low. I'm taking a ton of damage because again, I'm taking Ultimate Sacrifice. I have no bubble. Wings comes up in about 4 seconds, And if we can stabilize here, we can probably win because we'll have cooldowns coming back up. And if they had swapped to me right here, they probably would have gotten the kill right there. My warrior looks like he's going to be okay. I do burn my trinket there. I had Hodge up, and I kind of wanted to Hodge the priest, but then I was like, oh, I should just go ahead and focus completely on healing. And they do end up taking down the demon hunter. So it's 1-1, and at this point, I had kind of figured out that the warlock was playing very, very well. You know, just in his positioning and the way he was using his interrupts and the way he was using his CC when he was CCing the DPS that they weren't on. I mean, he was just playing really well. So this next match, I'm thinking, well, this comp is going to be terrible compared to warrior, warlock, disc priest, but we still have a shot. We might can, you know, take down the warrior or take down the warlock. It's going to be difficult on this map to stick on that warlock, especially since he's really good at trading his cooldowns. So I run in and I go ahead and give them the blessing of summer right there, and they almost kill my enhancement shaman in the opener. And again, that's why I'm running ultimate sack, so you can see how much damage I'm taking from the ultimate sack there. And I was just trying not to fall behind. I used my bubble just as kind of a way to catch up, and he actually missed the MD on the bubble, so we were super close to just getting destroyed in the opener there. But now we're starting to catch up a little bit. I'm trying to dispel my demon hunter. I do use blessing of protection on the enhance. They get it off instantly, so I'm just using it as a way again to mitigate damage here. He gets me in the stun, and I was thinking he was going to go for the fear, so I kind of walk behind the corner. He does go for the fear there, but they stop him, and he gets the fear on me, and we're still just so far behind. Even though I'm on fear DR now, it's just not looking good. I go ahead and burn lay on hands there because it's just not useful when it gets to too high of dampening, which it was already still pretty high, but it's like a decent heal whenever it's lower dampening. So I toss the shaman the next blessing, which reduces, or it basically makes your cooldowns come up faster. So I'm hoping it helps with his shield wall, and honestly it was better for him and not me. So he's running the bloodlust talent, so we do have bloodlust here, but the warlock again is just CCing my demon hunter so much, so we don't really even get that much pressure with bloodlust up. The warrior does start to get chunked. He pops stab out the sword. He misses his spear of bastion, and you can kind of see we're almost even on mana, but I do have my blessing of winter come up here soon, or it's actually up right now, so I'm not too worried about mana, but we are still just falling behind. Wings is up in like 8 seconds, so I'm kind of watching for that. But I think right here, yeah, I do get the full fear right here, and I don't think he tremors me, and he's just gonna go down probably. So, oh, and yep, there he goes. So 1 and 2, and again, I had figured out that the warlock was really, really good, so I'm thinking, all right, at least if I can just win the rest of them, it'll be a 4 and 2 game, and that'll be a big win. Because anytime you have a DPS that's like really, really good, like honestly, just better than the other DPS, a lot of times that DPS is going to go 6-0, you're going to go 3-3, and that's just how it happens a lot of time for healers. And I've said this in, you know, previous videos, it's more difficult to go 6-0 as a healer in lower MMR lobbies, because you really do always have a DPS that's just, I mean, typically better than everybody else. And when you get into the higher MMR lobbies, people are just, it just evens out a little bit more. So they start out on my warlock here. He's going for his tyrant. He's starting to juke. He uses his defensive, which I go ahead and bop there. They do get it off instantly, but it ends up being okay. Like I said, this warlock's awareness is just really, really good. Like positioning, everything aside. So I'm running in for the Hodge because we're okay at the moment. And I still have the Blessing of Winter up. I should honestly go ahead and just throw that out, because a lot of these aren't going to be where I'm just going to go He's coming in to try and fear me, and he does get the fear. It's DR'd though. So, and he fell pretty far behind rushing in for that fear, and it ends up helping us a little bit more because it was such a DR fear. They start to swap to my Demon Hunter a little bit, and just now they swap back to the Warlock, so trying to do a little bit of kind of spread pressure, but we're still fine. I've got full holy power. He does get the wind shear here, so it gets a little spooky. And honestly, I would have liked the positioning to be a little bit better here. I was kind of hoping that the Demon Hunter would push back with us. You can kind of see where the Warlock's wanting to kite, and we're wanting to kite back this way. And we're getting a little split here, so it's kind of awkward positioning, but ends up being okay. Now the Demon Hunter does start to run. He sees that I'm hexed, so that's really good. And I'm going to go ahead and use Ultimate Sack here. And I can use my other blessing, like I'll throw it on a random person and they'll take increased healing. The Priest does use Life Swap. The Warlock gets the Fear on the Life Swap, which was good. And then we see the Demon Hunter use the Hunt. And so we're going to start getting a ton of pressure here. He gets the Wind Shear on me, but it's still fine. Like, my Warlock's just kiting really well. And I probably should have saved the blessing for the Demon Hunter because the Warlock just has so many outs. He was kiting real well. So that was probably a misplay on my part to throw the Blessing of Spring on the Warlock. And we do get the kill, and now it is 2-2. Next up, we have the Enhance and the Demo Lock combo. And honestly, after seeing how like the first round went, I was pretty confident that we were going to win this one. We have 2 ranged interrupts. We can stop the penance. We have a Tremor Totem for the Warrior Fear and the Priest Fear. So we just have the advantage. Especially since the Warlock knows how to use his cooldowns to live versus the melee. So right here, he lays his gateway. Now they do get a ton of pressure here, so he gets both of them in the Spirit Bastion, and they get the Mind Games off, so that's like the dream scenario for them. I throw out the blessing, the damage blessing to my Warlock, and I get caught in that fear, so that was really bad. I could have dodged that. And I also overlapped with his Hex there. So it does get his trinket, but again, really bad, because he probably would have had to trinket that Hex anyway, and then I could have just dodged him immediately. So that ends up being a big blunder. I go in here, I get the blind on the Priest, and it gets broken. So kind of a poor sequence there, just all around. Like a lot of misplays that could be better at the beginning of this match, where it would have just been a lot smoother. I do go ahead and pop wings here because they're trying to do big damage to my Warlock, and they do lock, or the Priest gets wind sheared, and we're starting to get more and more pressure. I'm not worried about dispelling that because it was a super short stun. I'm just more worried about keeping my Warlock topped. And you notice I'm casting the Holy Light to give the buff because I'm running the Light's Grace. So it gives him a buff where he takes less damage. I do go ahead and sack, and you see I'm taking a lot of damage, but it's okay because I'm just playing max range here. He's going to Mind Games, I'm going to dispel it instantly, just so we can keep the pressure rolling. They are getting a little bit more spread damage, but again, see how my Warlock takes the port almost immediately. I didn't even need to burn Bop there. And that's just hard, getting used to, they get the kill on the Warrior, getting used to having a DPS where you're not in communication, but they're going to do the correct thing every single time. So I didn't even need to burn Bop there. But normally, if they get caught in the Spirit Bastion, they're not going to instantaneously take the port, etc. So, and so now we are at 3 wins. And this is to go for the 4-2, and I mean eventually hit 2300. And I think this is also a favorable matchup because we're Warrior Warlock. So they start out on the Warrior, and I wasn't sure if they were going to focus him the whole time, but I do go ahead and dispel there. And they're going for big damage, so I use a Blessing of Protection. Again, they actually also purged off the my glimmer and everything there, so I guess the enhance and the Dish Priest were both spamming purge. So having that triple offensive dispel for them, blessing of protection is going to be way less useful. I do get feared, so they have a good little chain CC here. I go ahead and burn my trinket. I burn another blessing of protection and aura mastery, like again, because I'm starting to fall behind, and that's not what we want. If we live through their opener, we win. Like once the demon hunter is out of his damage, they don't have bloodlust, etc., we're just gonna win. So I'm just not I don't want to leave any cooldowns on the table here. We do get a little bit grouped up, so again, I'm gonna go ahead and burn bubble. Remember, they can just empty it off, and they did right there. And it was used as a trinket, so now we're all caught up, but we don't have any outs. We don't have sack or anything, but we're completely caught up here. And the priest doesn't have trinket, and I believe he's already used a paints up. So now I'm playing max range, and I'm just casting Holy Light to get that damage reduction on my warlock. Priest is falling behind, and the enhance does go down here. And that is 2300. So I got like plus 45 rating for that one. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. It was a really fun solo shuffle. Gonna keep continuing the series. This solo shuffle was recorded right before all of the Retribution Paladin mayhem and all the buffs to them. Now they have been nerfed since then, but I may not queue for a little bit, letting the Rets calm down, because Holy Paladins healing Ret Paladins is such a nightmare because of the forbearance. Like when they use any of their stuff like Bubble, Blessing Protection, their land hands, it puts forbearance on them. So if I, bop them or whatever, it's just not good synergy. And so when there's a ton of Ret Paladins running around, it's not good for Holy Paladins. But I will try and do a little bit more of a push in the coming week to hit the 2400 for the kind of season finale. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, all that jazz, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.